Have you ever felt it? That slow, creeping distance in your relationship? The deep, late-night conversations are gone, replaced by logistics. How was your day? And did you pay the electric bill? You're living under the same roof, but you feel more like roommates than partners. You still love each other, but you can't shake the feeling that you're speaking two completely different languages. One of you feels totally unheard, and the other feels like they just can't get it right. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. This is a classic dynamic that countless couples face, and it has a name: the emotional language gap. It's that invisible barrier that can turn connection into confusion, and if you let it grow, it can lead to some serious emotional distance. But what if you could finally learn to translate for each other? Have you ever noticed how one of you might just want to talk through a problem, while the other immediately tries to fix it? That right there is the emotional language gap in action. It often boils down to a basic difference in what each person thinks the point of the conversation is. For many women, talking is how you build a bond. Sharing a problem is about processing the emotion together and feeling validated. But for many men, communication is more task-oriented. They hear a problem, and their instinct is to find a solution. This isn't because they don't care. It's a different way of showing they care. So, a woman might say, "I had such a stressful day. My boss is just overwhelming me." She's looking for someone to say, "Wow, that sounds really tough. I'm sorry you have to deal with that." But her partner, speaking a different emotional language, here's a problem that needs a fix. He might reply, "Why don't you just talk to HR?" Or, "You should start looking for a new job." Suddenly, she feels dismissed because her feelings were completely skipped over. He feels frustrated because his very practical advice was shot down. Nobody is wrong here, but they are talking right past each other. This pattern is often tied to what researchers call restrictive emotionality, a fancy term for how men are often socialized to hold back vulnerable feelings, making it harder to express what's really going on inside. So, where does this all come from? It's a mix of biology, but it's much more about how we were raised. From a very young age, boys and girls often get taught two different sets of rules about feelings. Girls are frequently encouraged to talk about what they're feeling, to be empathetic, and to express themselves. Boys, on the other hand, are often taught to be tough, to bury emotions like sadness or fear, and to channel their energy into action. Anger is often seen as one of the few acceptable emotions for men. Now, that doesn't mean it's a free pass. Expressing anger can still have consequences, but it's often viewed as more acceptable than showing vulnerability. It's not about pointing fingers. It's about understanding that we're often conditioned with two totally different playbooks. As a general trend, this means women may become more skilled at reading nonverbal cues and expressing a wider range of emotions. Of course, this isn't a hard and fast rule for every single person, but the pattern is strong. Men might feel things just as deeply, but they may not have the words or the social permission to show it. Realizing this isn't an excuse for bad communication, it's the first step toward having some compassion and finally changing the pattern. So, how do we fix this? How do we start speaking the same language again? It comes down to learning a few new skills, all centered around one key mindset: feelings before fixes. First, learn to own your feelings with I statements. Instead of saying, "You never listen," which is guaranteed to start a fight, try framing it from your side. "I feel unheard right now when we talk about this." That simple switch from you to I can stop your partner from getting defensive and actually open them up to what you're saying. Second, practice real, active listening. When your partner is talking, your only job is to understand. That's it. Don't interrupt. Don't plan your rebuttal. And please, don't jump straight to solutions. Ask questions that invite more feeling, like, "What was that like for you?" Or, "Tell me more about that." Then, validate the feeling by saying, "I can totally see why you'd feel that way." Remember, you don't have to agree with their point of view to validate their emotion. And third, rebuild that connection one step at a time. You don't need to schedule a 4-hour deep dive every night. Start small. Create a simple daily habit where you both share one thing you're feeling, with no judgment and no problem solving allowed. Just listening. Expressing appreciation for each other is another powerful way to push back against that feeling of disconnection. Feeling like roommates isn't a sign that your love is gone. It's a sign that your communication style isn't working for you anymore. The emotional language gap is a real thing, but it does not have to be a life sentence for your relationship. It's simply a challenge you can take on together. Once you understand that you're both working from different emotional rulebooks, you can stop seeing your partner as the enemy and start seeing the communication gap as a shared project. It takes patience, a little bit of learning, and a lot of grace. But it's how you rebuild intimacy and trust. It's how you go from being roommates back to being partners. What has your experience been with this emotional gap? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your story might be the one that helps someone else feel seen. And if this resonated with you, please give it a like and subscribe for more content on building stronger, more connected relationships.